What's up, sports fans, and welcome to the Sports Opinions Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Alex Cuesta. Hope everyone had a good New Year, good Christmas. We are kicking off 2019 for the first episode of 2019 here. One of the best ways I can think of doing it with family. With me today, my baby bro, known him literally his whole life, most of mine. My brother, David Cuesta. What's up, brother?
What's up? It's good to be back again.
Oh, yeah, it's always fun to have you on. Family affair going on here. David, you want anyone to stalk you on social media? What are you trying to give people?
The only one I'm going to give out is my Instagram, Cuesta, because I'm not using the other ones, even though I barely use this one anyway.
So if you want to stalk him, good luck. He doesn't really post much. Today, we're going to do a fun little episode of this podcast. We're going to talk first some of the spring football leagues popping up. It seems like they're coming up like weeds right now. They're just everywhere. Then we're going to talk some Jets and NFL, and we're going to sneak in some Nets and NBA, and hopefully we keep it to a decent time frame so people actually listen to this, Dave.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about some of the spring football leagues popping up. As a lot of people probably know, sports fans know, the XFL is coming back. And the XFL is best known, 2001, Vince McMahon basically did an extension of the WWF, which now is WWE, but WWF at the time.
Yeah.
It's basically an extension. He used a lot of the wrestling personalities in it. There was a lot of fanatical shit that went on in it. And it was an interesting league because some of the things that they did, the NFL took, such as like the sky cam and things like that.
Yeah, but it was just gimmicky. It was just a gimmick. That's all it was.
It was a gimmick. And I remember one of the things, I was watching one of the games, and one of the guys, when they did the little scramble for the ball, he like dislocated his shoulder in the like first thing that they ever did. So it ended up like the football wasn't good. It ended up, there were some good guys that came out of it. I think it was Rod Smart was his name. He played for a little while for the Eagles. So there was some good to come out of it, but that league is coming back and it seems to be much more legit. To couple with that announcement, not to be outdone, the Alliance of American Football, AAF, is also coming out. It's backed by some legitimate people. We'll go more into
a lot of legitimate people.
Extremely legitimate. This league is probably the most legitimately run, but I will also talk about some of my trepidations with it as well. We'll talk about the pros and cons of all of them. And the final one that I literally just heard about because I was listening to the Barstool podcast, Part of My Take. I'm a big fan, gentlemen, if you ever hear this. Big fan of Part of My Take. It's a great podcast. Definitely recommend, if you don't like mine, to go listen to theirs or do both. But Part of My Take's a great podcast, and they had on Ricky Williams, who is one of the founders of the Freedom Football League, which is a very experimental league. They're going to do some things. They're coming out, I think they're in 2020, along with the XFL.
Yeah, XFL, yeah.
And the AAF is 2019. We'll actually be getting
February
this spring.
It says February, I think.
Yeah, this February. So it's interesting that we're going to be getting so many at one time. And we're just going to kind of talk about whether or not they can succeed. What are the pros? What are the cons? So let's run right in first. We'll talk about the AAF since it is coming.
Yeah, since it's the closest one.
Yes. The first pro that I noticed about the AAF is the people that are running it, the executives.
Yeah.
They have some of the most legit people that you'll know. If you know sports, Charlie Ebersol who is and he was, I think he's an NFL guy. He was actually behind one of the guys that helped be behind the original XFL along with his father, Dick Ebersol. You have Bill Polian, which if you're a football fan and watch ESPN, he's one of the
Bill Polian.
Colts. Yeah, great football guy.
Troy Polamalu's in it.
One of the best safeties of all time.
Hines Ward.
Yep, Jared Allen, Justin Tuck.
Yep, they even have Mike Pereira and Dean Blandino coming on as officiating consultants.
Yeah, and they have a legitimate media deal. Their deal is basically with CBS. All their games are going to be broadcast either on CBS or CBS Sports. I think the opening game is going to be on CBS and the championship game will be on CBS. The rest of them will be on CBS Sports. And they're also going to be using the NFL on CBS talent to call their games. So you're going to get some legitimate broadcasters
in
football games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I actually didn't look into it a lot before you talked to me about it, but I'm not gonna lie, it does look like it's gonna be pretty good. But I mean, like it's the uniforms look cool. I care about that, uniforms, the logos and stuff like that. I care about the marketing of the team and how they look. I know most of the time the football is going to be pretty good, especially with that kind of executives. But
so we'll continue with our pros. I'll talk about a little more of mine because I don't want to get into the cons yet. We'll talk about the cons next. Another big pro for me is their coaches. They have of the Atlanta team, Brad Childress, former Minnesota Vikings coach.
Mm-hmm.
Birmingham Iron is Tim Lewis, he is a big-time coach from, I think, the CFL.
Yeah.
He won a lot of the Grey Cups there, so he has good coaching. Mike Singletary. Go ahead, Dave.
You forgot on the Atlanta team. I think Mike Vick is also a coach on. He's an offensive coordinator. Yeah, he's an offensive coordinator. That's insane to ever think of Mike Vick as a coordinator. Yeah.
So you have Tim Lewis for Birmingham. The Memphis Express has Mike Singletary, legendary linebacker. Also one of the greatest rants of all time about Vernon Davis. Can't win with him. Can't win. Can't play with him. Can't win with him. Great. In Orlando, you have the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier.
Yep.
One of the best minds of football ever. He succeeded at both the college and pro level.
Mm-hmm.
Over in Arizona, the Arizona Hotshots has Rick Neuheisel, college coach, great college coach. He won some championships over with Florida.
Yep.
Salt Lake Stallions, you have Dennis Erickson, who was also another great coach. I don't know much about his background, I'm not going to lie. But I know the name. The only name that I think is new is him right here in San Antonio Commanders, Mike Riley. He seems to be the only rookie head coach.
Yeah, I don't seem to know that guy either.
Which is okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And the final guy is Mike Martz, who has the Rams. He was a coach there, and he has just great NFL pedigree and background. So 7 out of the 8 coaches are known guys. They have legitimate coordinators. So that right there is going to tell me that just the structure of the teams are going to be good. They're going to be NFL ready in terms of coming to game day.
Yeah, they at least should be. I mean, all of the news I'm looking at on this page, it seems like they're taking this seriously as it should be taken.
Very seriously, and it's a great thing to see because another pro, it jumps right into that. They're taking this seriously, but they're also taking seriously the fact that if their guys perform well, they can very well leave.
Exactly, they can possibly get into the NFL.
And the AAF, is okay with that. They're allowing their players, once they complete the AAF season, if they sign a contract with an NFL team, they're okay to leave. They are allowed to breach their AAF contract to go play in the NFL, which I think is going to go far for their success in their future. Another cool thing is each of these teams are associated with a few NFL teams and a few CFL teams, which basically means that they're the farm teams for these clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every single team for both leagues, which I think is extremely smart on their end. And they also have a regional connection with the major colleges down there in any of their regions. And they connect with everyone in the country, even though con of theirs, they don't have teams everywhere in the country.
Yeah, they don't have any Northeast teams.
No Northeast, no Great Lakes.
No.
No Pacific Northwest. They are really, kind of Salt Lake, I guess, is Pacific Northwest.
I don't know if I would know. I wouldn't really count that.
But their teams are basically down in the South and in the Deep West, Southwest, West, Midwest.
Yeah, which is kind of fair. They love their football down in the South, at least down in the South. But I don't know. I've always thought Northeast was a great market for football.
It is, and also Great Lakes. You're going to tell me that Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin has Green Bay. Green Bay is one of the best football areas in the history of sports.
Exactly.
So that's one of their cons. No teams in the Northeast, no teams playing there. That's easily their major con. Yeah. Another con that I'm going to bring up, and this goes along for every single one of the leagues. There are 3 spring leagues popping up now. They're all defending their players from each other, but not the NFL in terms of the AAF.
Yeah. Players are going to start getting thin on talent.
Very thin. And that's my problem. AAF is smart by locking up their guys in terms of their spring league.
Yes.
And not allowing them to jump. But who's to say that when they go to the NFL, if they lose their shot, if they don't come back down and go to the XFL or go to the Freedom Football League?
Yeah.
And talent's going to be very thin. The bottom of football rosters already isn't – yeah. You need to expect to see some mid-level college football talent if you want to watch these games.
Yeah. That's completely correct. But, I mean, that's also one of the things that I feel like separates the XFL, because I follow the XFL more than any of the other spring leagues. And that's one of the things I feel like might separate the XFL from the other two, is because the XFL is trying to do football a little differently from the NFL. So even with that maybe thinning talent, if it's different and faster, maybe people will watch it more.
Possibly, and we'll go into the rules. The AAF does have some different rules as well. Mm-hmm. We already talked about their draft style, their associations, which is huge, and especially their collegiate associations. Quarterback-only protect-or-pick draft they had, which they could either protect local talent or pick another quarterback, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Their telecasts, they're going to have 60% fewer commercials. They're trying to shorten the time to about 30 minutes, make it 150-minute games. If you score, you have to attempt a 2-point conversion, no extra points, no kickoffs at all, starting at the 25.
So that makes sense.
No onside kick. No onside kick. You get your ball from the 35, and you have to go 10 yards or more if you want to keep the ball. Play clock is 30 seconds. 2 coaches challenges, no other challenges, nothing in the last 2 minutes or overtimes, or 2 minutes of a game or overtime. Outside organizations are doing the head trauma stuff, and the playoffs are 4 teams. That's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
That variance is definitely going to make a difference. It's going to be a different style of football. Now, I watch some CFL, and I have to say, just seeing football that isn't NFL just looks foreign, or college. Just looks foreign.
Yeah.
Do you think that people are going to take to this style?
I think that they can. If it's done correctly, if it still looks like football, the people will take to the style, especially if it's faster. Like, who do you know that watches football this year specifically who hasn't complained about how many penalty flags have been on that field?
Oh,
how much laundry has been thrown on that field? It's ridiculous.
I think officiating in the day of head injuries and being safe in every sport has been really bad. It's just been bad. They're just calling the most ridiculous penalties in terms of let's get it wrong, and then let's go to replay and get it right in certain things. Like the most egregious example was last night when Kevin Durant stepped out of bounds for 2 steps. Then I guess saved the ball that was going out of bounds, but you can't save a ball when you're already out of bounds.
Yeah.
And they did it. And
foot's planted clearly on the ground while he's touching the ball. Did you see
Chris Paul's tweet?
Yeah.
When he was like, I guess Bird Box is we're doing Bird Box in the NBA right now or something like that. It was funny, but yeah, it's officiating. And I know we always get on officials as fans. Fans do that. That's what we do. But I think we are justified this year where it is at an all-time bad.
Well, I mean, you see in the NFL, like, there's games where, like, there's so many games where double-digit penalties are called on just a single team. Like, at some point, it's either the team is just completely not disciplined at all, or it's the officials just being very inconsistent, or maybe consistent to a fault with the fact that they're throwing it everywhere.
And it also, in the NFL, you're really starting to see the NBA thing where it's certain teams, where it's certain players don't get called for things. And the NBA has been criticized of this, especially with their superstar calls and things like that. Like there's always been criticism of that. The NFL is starting to get more and more into that because it's a quarterback-driven league, because it is a wide receiver-driven league.
Yeah.
If you are a big-time wide receiver, if you're OBJ, if you're Julio Jones, you get away with that push-off. If you're a no-name wide receiver, you even pull your arm out forward, you're going to get called for offensive pass interference. So it used to be kind of a rite of passage thing where guys got away with a little more. Now it's just pretty damn egregious.
Yeah. You know, it's just getting bad. But here, let's get back onto the topic of spring leagues before we go too far.
I mean, we were just angry. But
That's true.
Another thing that the AAF has that the other teams don't have already is players. They have rosters, and they do have some notable guys in here. Arizona, they have quarterback Trevor Knight there. He was a good big-time college guy. He played for Texas A&M. Birmingham, their quarterback is I think it's Matt Sims or Blake Sims. from Alabama. Then Matt Sims is also a quarterback somewhere else. They have some legitimate names. Stephen Hill, Jets' terrible wide receiver, is playing for the Atlanta Legend, but he's an NFL player. He's terrible in the NFL. Doesn't mean he's not going to be the best wide receiver in this league. It's just that a lot of these guys couldn't succeed at the absolute highest level, but they may not have been ready. I look at this name, Chris Gibbons, over in Memphis, was a legitimate wide receiver for the Patriots. He's going to dominate, even though he's a little bit older than these guys. He's going to dominate in this league. He's playing at Memphis. Matt Asiata was just on Minnesota, had some pretty good plays. He's fast as hell. He's playing over in Salt Lake. You have some legitimate players that, it's not up and down the roster like we're used to in the NFL, but they did a really nice job with their draft, and they have some really good players protected here.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's always nice, like, even though we rag on Stephen Hill for being bad on the Jets, like, it's always nice to see players get a second chance to be good at what they're good at. Because they know they're good at it. We know that they're good at it. They just weren't that good at it. And you know, head coaches get that chance all the time. Like, you could look at Hugh Jackson.
Oh my God.
Getting so many. Look at Marvin Lewis. Just doesn't get fired over in the Bengals until now. Like, after
16 years of middle of the wrong football.
Exactly. Like, it's good to see the players get their second chance, even if it's in just a farm league. That's fine.
And the nice part about them getting their second chance in these leagues is they're signing big time TV deals. It's not like they're signing it with BN Sports, who is a good channel for, like, if you're a soccer fan. But if a football team signs with BN Sports, no one's gonna watch it.
Yeah.
But CBS Sportsnet is legit. And that's a good signing for the AAF. So we talked a little about the AAF there. We're going to get into the XFL now. We threw a little bit in there, background about it being 2001. Vince McMahon's bringing it back. And one thing about both is there isn't owners in the AAF and there isn't owners in the XFL. They are league-owned teams, I believe.
I want to say XFL might not be league-owned.
No, Vince McMahon owns it all.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's legal.
Yeah, right.
It's Alpha Entertainment that owns it. So he owns everything. So that eliminates the whole entire old white man owning teams thing. He's just one old white man owning everything.
Yeah. Well, he's throwing so much money into this. That's part of the reason why I kind of trust it to turn out well, because I just don't think Vince McMahon's going to throw that much money for a long-term thing into something that's not going to work.
Yeah, neither do I. And he has better people in spots now to make this work. And he's being very serious about it. It has no affiliation with the WWE whatsoever.
Well, I mean, you look at they have advisors as well, Paige. Like, they have Jim Caldwell, NFL head coach, John Fox, Doug Flutie. They have people in there that know football and that can advise them.
Yeah. 100%. And they're going a different route in terms of their broadcasting and their media. They are trying to make it so that you're going to stream XFL games.
Yeah.
Which is new. It's cool. It's different. You can go on Facebook. You can go on Twitter. You can go on Amazon and you can stream these games, which I think is only going to help them in terms of getting eyes, because what is everyone doing now? They're in their phones, around their computer, or they're even streaming from their TV.
Yeah. No, I think it's perfect. I think it's one of the best ways to try to grab a hold of what we have on social media. Because why not use it? Why not? If everyone has it, you got to use it.
Without a doubt. And one of the also values they have is they have teams all over the country.
In big places.
In big places. They haven't given any of their teams names yet. They don't have any coaches. They don't have a roster because they are still 2020 is still a little while away. But
right now they're still trying out the rules and everything.
Yes, and they have 8 teams. Yeah. Dallas, Houston, LA, New York, St. Louis, Seattle, Tampa, and Washington, which I think is solid. It's all over the country. The only spot they don't have really is the Great Lakes region, which I think they are missing out. But if this works, there's no doubt they're going to expand there.
They're definitely going to expand there. I'm really happy that St. Louis got a team, even if it's just a spring football team. Like, St. Louis deserves a team.
Yeah, without a doubt. They deserve a team. And now the places that they're playing to is they're playing in some legitimate stadiums, with MetLife being the biggest one. Their New York team is going to play in the home of the Giants and Jets, and it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and they have CenturyLink and Raymond James too.
Yeah, exactly. They're playing in legitimate stadiums. They have legitimate people. And another big thing, you talked about it, the rules changes, and that is going to be huge for going forward for this league.
Yep.
Like you said, they are running test games in Mississippi along with the spring league during his 2019 season for the rules changes. There's no fair catches. Those are gone now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give a returner 5 yards in order to catch the ball and start their return, which is already implemented in the CFL, and it does help have no injuries happen. So that's a cool rule that they added. No extra point. You can get 1, 2, or 3 points depending on where you run that conversion play, whether it's from the 2-yard line, 5-yard line, or 15. Kickoffs will only be 5 yards between each other, no 10. All players behind the line of scrimmage are eligible receivers. Linemen still can't go downfield to block people, though, just because they want to. They're doing a wider yard lines like the CFL has.
Yep.
They have a proposed rule where no offensive linemen are in a 3-point stance, which should prevent, in terms of studies, prevent head injuries from them crashing into each other. Shorter play clock. Clock will run continuously outside of the 2-minute drill. And there's a specialized ball judge to move the ball quicker so that no other official has to worry about it. That's the only job. I think this is innovative, and I think it's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be awesome, too. I mean, I remember seeing things like when it was like first announced, like how they're trying to make like, all the rules as specific as possible so the refs aren't just throwing them at things that they think might be the penalty.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really cool concept, and I think just the way McMahon does things, he's gonna go innovative. A con with them, they're not allowing their players to break contract and leave to go to the NFL. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
that is gonna hurt. They don't want to become a farm team to the NFL, which I think is a big mistake. I think if you're going to succeed as a spring league, you need to allow your players to leave.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way.
Yeah, I can get with that. I mean, I think even though they want to be complementary to the NFL, I think the XFL really wants to try to beat the NFL, which is incredibly tough.
Well, if President Trump did not bury the USFL because he was pissed at every other owner, I don't know if anyone else watched that that whole entire documentary about the USFL. I think it was This Is the USFL or something like that. He buried that company because everyone pissed him off, so he buried it.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to be an NFL owner. All he was trying to do was stick it to the NFL with the USFL. They had Herschel Walker. They had Doug Flutie. They had talent. They were playing decent football. And then Trump decided, I'm done, and buried it.
Yeah.
So take that as you want with our Mr. President doing his thing, but the USFL had a chance.
Yep.
If the XFL's done right, then it also has a chance to be successful. So, but that is my con with them. And again, the major con, I think, with all these leagues is the talent. I have a question for you. Do you think McMahon already has players that they're not signed, but they kind of have handshake agreements, like you're going to be my guy?
I would not doubt it.
Spring league.
I would not doubt it. That man has connections everywhere.
But, guys like people are going to laugh when they hear these names, but guys like Blaine Gabbert and Mark Sanchez and Josh Jackson and even guys like Vince Young, or not Vince Young anymore, but players of their caliber where they flake out in the NFL.
Yeah.
Send them into one of these leagues and they're starters because they played at the highest level. Nathan Peterman is a terrible NFL quarterback. Could be a very good XFL, AAF, or Freedom with
Hey, man, he's historic in the NFL, okay? Nathan Peterman is historic.
Historically bad.
Yeah, it's still historic. There's no way around that.
Here's the real question. Who is worse, Mark Sanchez or Nathan Peterman?
Nathan Peterman, 100%.
Nathan Peterman has never butt fumbled and then butt recovered.
Mark Sanchez tasted
that have to do with his ass.
Career.
No, the defense, Thomas Jones and LaDainian Tomlinson tasted.
That's fine. He still won.
He was good in the 2-minute drill. Besides the 2-minute drill, he's probably at Nathan Peterman's level.
Nah, he doesn't throw picks like that.
Because they only let him throw the ball 20 times a game.
That's fine. That's fine. You do what you got to do.
And he also had Braylon Edwards, which it was just like, I throw it anywhere within 5 yards of that man.
Yep.
And he'll go figure out a way.
Yep.
All right, so off the XFL, we're going to go on to the newest one, the newest announced. And this one, again, I heard it on Part of My Take. Ricky Williams is on there. Ricky Williams is a founder along with T.O., Byron Chamberlain, Simeon Rice, Jeff Garcia, Dexter Jackson. And if you go on their page, a whole other slew of former players, executives.
Yeah, a dumb amount of founders.
And it's great, though. It brings a lot of different
Yeah.
minds into it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they don't have any coaches or players yet. They're still 2020. But their teams, they already have their team areas established. They have the Oakland Panthers, the OKC Power, Portland Progress, San Diego Warriors, Texas Revolution, the Birmingham Knights, Connecticut Underground, Florida Strong, Ohio Players, and St. Louis Independents. Those are their 5 teams. They, again, cover geographically almost every single region besides really Great Lakes and top Canadian North style.
Yeah.
But overall, they have a different model. One of the cool things about them is if you're a season ticket holder, you become a part owner of the team. They're initially going to have 100 initial stake owners, including 50 former NFL players, and then you have equity in the team if you become a owner. So that's actually pretty cool to kind of draw fans in.
Yeah.
So one of the things about this league, when I was reading into it, is they kind of want to be everything the NFL isn't. They're making some different rules, but there was a lot on their page about basically sticking it to the rich white owner, not kowtowing to what they're calling plantation and slave style, get basically mentalities and structures of the NFL.
Yep.
For me, I think I've said I can never understand how millionaires, I guess it's like me, if I make $100,000 complaining about a millionaire, or millionaires complaining about billionaires, it's like these guys are rich. They made very good money being athletic. And while they're not only athletes, it's kind of, I don't understand how you can complain about billionaires when those billionaires made you and your family and your generation filthy rich if you did the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But I think my main problem with this league is the fact that it's going to be so hard to sustain these teams without a good inflow of money coming in. And, I don't think you're going to have as many fans as you're going to need to keep all these teams afloat like that.
And I think especially if the AAF has a successful first season and the XFL ends up being as good as we think it is, there just might not be room for the Freedom Football League.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of revolutionary things. There is no thing set in stone in terms of rules, but Ricky Williams was talking when I was listening to the podcast about a really cool bunch of cool things they were throwing around about different things in terms of getting rid of kickers in general or only using female kickers for the extra points so you can now have female football players, which is a cool concept because there's some women that play soccer or even play in the women's football leagues that can kick the hell out of football. There's some cool different things that they're trying to do. I don't know. I just think this one, in terms of what they're going for, is too damn experimental.
Yeah, I just don't think the business practice is going to work. It's a nice idea. It's just not going to work out. Not when compared to the AAF and the XFL.
I think it's brand new, announced as of December of 2018. So we're January 4th. So it was early December. So
yeah, it has a lot of time to do things.
Exactly. It might be a little early, but in terms of early returns without a lot of details, it looks like it is severely lagging behind the other two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you also got to think, you just said it was announced December. It's starting in 2020. That gives them basically a year, a little over. Yep. XFL was announced in 2018? And they gave themselves
2017.
2017, and they gave themselves till 2020. See, that's where I feel like the difference is. The XFL, why I take it more seriously, is they're giving themselves time to make everything perfect. The Freedom Football League, you don't have a lot of time. A year goes by very quickly.
Yeah.
And you have to get players. You have your teams, but you have to get players. You have to get coaches. You have to make sure everything's working right. All the
media
rules,
deals and everything like that.
Media deals. Do you want the same rules in the NFL? Do you want There's so much that goes into it, and I just don't think a year is going to be enough, especially when competing with other spring football leagues.
All right, so rank your leagues. Which one do you think is going to be the most successful to the least successful?
You know what? I'm going to go with the one that I've been following the most. I'm still going to go with the XFL, then AAF, then Freedom Football League, but I can understand an argument for the AAF as well.
I think in terms of structure, I think the AAF is best set up. I think that people are going to be shying from working for Vince McMahon because he is kind of a control freak.
That's true.
And also their unwillingness to work with the CFL, the NFL, two more established leagues, is ultimately going to end up burying the XFL again because of that. So I think AAF is going to be most successful. I think XFL will be too. And again, as of this point, we don't know a lot about the Freedom Football League, but as of this point, I think they're in third and possibly going to go the wayside.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump ahead to our New York Jets, and we got to be a little bit quicker here, but not too fast. Jets, first off, who do you want as a head coach? Lots of names out there. John Harbaugh, none of them are coming.
No.
So take them out of the equation.
No,
They interviewed McCarthy, interviewed Jim Caldwell, they interviewed Kingsbury, they interviewed Adam Gase, I think today.
They interviewed Bieniemy, Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah. So who is your leading candidate that you would want with the Jets?
For me, I would either want either McCarthy or Bieniemy.
Why Bieniemy? Obviously McCarthy worked with Aaron Rodgers, successful Super Bowl winning coach. Why do you like Bieniemy?
See, the thing is about McCarthy, I think McCarthy could be a good coach for us, but then there's also the chance that, it just might not. Like the whole entire Aaron Rodgers thing, maybe he can't get out of under the shadow of Aaron Rodgers. And New York's a big market. Everyone wants you to win. If you can't win, Mike McCarthy cannot win with this team, then he's going to have even bigger problems than someone new that came in.
So Bieniemy, what is your attraction to him?
Well, he's working under Andy Reid, offensive genius. I don't know how much Bieniemy calls, but he's definitely getting something from Andy Reid. It's not like he's learning nothing or he knows nothing. Works with Patty Mahomes, great young QB, can possibly help Sam Darnold along the way. I just think he could do well. It all depends on the coordinators they pick as well. That's the one thing that might be a con for Bieniemy, is that he might not have the power to pull coordinators like McCarthy does.
He definitely might not. So for me, it's different. The more I read about Kirk Kingsbury, the more I like Kirk Kingsbury.
Is it Kurt or Cliff? I thought it was Cliff.
Was it Cliff Kingsbury? I thought it was the Texas Tech head coach.
I got to look.
And he's now the offensive coordinator for USC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Kirk Kingsbury.
Okay.
One of the things I liked about Kirk Kingsbury is Texas Tech. I know when he was over at Texas A&M, he worked with Johnny Manziel, and then he worked with I'm pretty sure he worked with Patty Mahomes.
Yeah, he did work.
So those are two guys who are – one's an NFL prospect, and the other one is blazing the league right now. Yeah, Rob, I said it. He's blazing the league. You shut up, Rob Planter. But I'm very much attracted to Cliff Kingsbury. Not Kirk. Cliff, you are right. Kliff.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury. I'm attracted to Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's a good option, even though he has no pro football, like head coaching experience in pro football.
Yeah.
But I also do like Adam Gase. I like Adam Gase. I thought he was a solid football mind. I think he was in a situation in Miami where he wasn't going to win either way. Tannehill wasn't the franchise guy. The defensive moves didn't work out. Tannenbaum's going to be on his way out there. And we know that Tannenbaum, from being Jets fans, he makes big splashes, but he ultimately doesn't make the smartest moves.
Yeah.
So I like Adam Gase as well. I think that Gase is a super headstrong guy, and I think that'll be good for the Jets. I think guys like Jamal Adams will feed on that headstrongness.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, I know Jamal Adams likes Cliff Kingsbury as well.
He does like Cliff Kingsbury, and he also likes Antonio Brown's and Le'Veon Bell. And I think, honestly, when you're Mike McCaggan and Chris Johnson, you're going to these interviews, you're filming them. You're sitting down Sam Darnold and Jamal Adams and going, who did you like?
Yeah.
Because those are the two guys that matter on the team right now.
Those are guys you want to make the happiest.
Yeah, your two best players by long shots right now.
Yeah.
So those are my two options. Now, in terms of the draft, the Jets are drafting number 3. Who is your player that you want to see them, or do you want to see him trade out of it?
I know. I want to see him pick from it. If they can, Josh Allen.
Hell yeah.
Nick Bosa. I want an edge rusher. That's what I want. An edge rusher. That is exactly what I want.
Now,
Other
Josh
than that,
Allen and Nick Bosa are off the table. Would you be opposed to now trading down to maybe get an offensive lineman that you shouldn't take at 3?
that could be a possibility, of course, depending on the trades we could get.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of this draft is going to have to depend on what we do during the offseason, during free agency.
Without a doubt.
You have so much cap room. Just make moves, and then you might not have to worry as much about the draft.
I agree. Now, with Herbert from Oregon going back to college, Dwayne Haskins now becomes easily the top quarterback.
Yes.
You have guys like Jake Fromm who might sneak in the first round just because he's a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But Haskins is going to be the prize. Do you think there's a chance we can get a king's ransom for 3 just so someone could take a chance on Haskins there?
Possibly. That is definitely a possibility.
I thought about it because he's the most legitimate quarterback coming out right now. Jake Browning's not great.
I mean,
Fromm's not great. Herbert's staying in school.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a team that would want to do that.
Look at the Dolphins.
Dolphins, maybe
they
Jags.
Need a quarterback. The Jags need a quarterback. And you can get a king's ransom from either of those teams, and I think the Jags are in turmoil. They're going to be bad for a little bit down there.
Yeah, it's actually pretty upsetting how the Jags could have been.
Oh, the boat. The boat didn't pull through. Sorry, part of my take, guys. The boat has sunk.
The boat regressed.
Honestly, if you listen to part of my take, though, they're like, best comeback story ever. Boat's going to come to New York. He's going to live with us.
Please.
He's going to play for the Giants. He's going to live with us. Redemption stories happen in New York. Let's do this. Could you imagine if Blake Bortles is the option for the Giants to replace Eli?
They should fold as a franchise.
They're almost the same age. Blake Bortles is not young in terms of quarterback years.
That's awful.
But all right, we're going to jump right into the NFL season itself because we'll talk about the Jets impression and then we'll talk about the playoff prediction. How did this season go for you as a Jets fan in terms of what your expectation were, where they met, yada, yada?
I was pretty sad, like a Jets fan usually is, but I was sad for different reasons. I was hoping – I like Todd Bowles as a person. I was hoping it would work out better than this. I felt like we didn't have a great team coming in. We had a decent team, and if we were up by 14, I should have some security that we were going to win the game, but we just couldn't do that. We went through 3 and outs too many times. I was hoping Jeremy Bates wasn't as conservative as he was.
He's awful.
But I'm happy.
Schottenheimer was more aggressive than Jeremy Bates.
But I am happy that Stam really came into his own.
Yes,
especially after he got injured for a little bit, went through the 3 weeks where he wasn't playing.
Thank you, Josh McCown, for teaching him how to be a pro.
Yeah, and he came back and he looked great. He looked great for a rookie QB.
Why are we interviewing Josh McCown for head coach?
I don't think he wants to do that. I would think even if he's retiring, he would want to take some time off.
I don't know. But my overall impression is I'm kind of pissed at Todd Bowles because I defended him early this year. I did. I thought, I enjoyed the job he did last year. I thought he did a lot with very little talent.
Yeah.
And then this year, Bates was bad. He never reined him in and made him call more aggressive football that is on your head coach.
Yep.
And also with Casey Rogers being extremely ill, even when he was on that sideline, we know he wasn't calling plays. We know he wasn't going under the stresses. So that was Todd Bowles calling plays.
Yeah.
That was his defense, and his defense was terrible in fourth quarters. I don't care what type of talent you have. Like you said, you have 10-plus point leads. You hold half of those games minimum.
Yeah.
And he didn't. This is on Todd Bowles. I never wish for a guy to get fired because that's just not right. But I don't think Todd Bowles is just ready to be an NFL head coach, or if he ever will be. He's a good defensive coordinator. Don't know about being a head coach.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. I always hate to see head coaches just not be able to work it out, especially on their first go around, especially after going 10-6 in the first season.
Yeah.
But when it's not working out, you just got to let them go.
So quickly, who's your Super Bowl?
My Super Bowl?
Yep.
Bears Chargers.
I'm going Saints Chargers.
Going Saints Chargers?
Hell yeah. Just because I don't care who wins there. I like both quarterbacks.
Watch Chargers get knocked out the first round.
Go, Chargers, go. All right, so we're quickly going to do some Nets and NBA. We don't want to bore too many people with the Nets because even though there might be some Nets fans now because they're finally playing well.
Yeah.
But they just started off the new year with the win against the Pelicans. They're playing the Grizzlies. This is Friday, January 4th. We're doing this, playing the Grizzlies tonight.
Yep.
Can the Nets sustain this, especially without their best player, Karis LeVert, playing? Can they sustain this high level of play where Spencer Dinwiddie, D'Angelo Russell, all these guys, Joe Harris playing amazing. I rehashed my article from Nothing But Nets about when I called 2 years ago that Joe Harris is a solid basketball player and he's going to do exactly what he's doing now. Do you think they can sustain this for a full season?
100% they can.
So are they a playoff team?
In the East, yes.
Yeah.
In the East, yes, they can be a playoff team. Which, you know what, they probably shouldn't be, but they can be. And the reason I think they can sustain it is because they're not depending on one person. The one person that they might depend on the most is like D'Lo, because D'Lo is the most consistent.
I think it's Spencer Dinwiddie.
Well, it's both Dinwiddie and D'Lo. D'Lo is the commander of the offense, but Dinwiddie just makes those baskets that are insane.
Now, quickly, we saw something newer that Kenny Atkinson hasn't gone to. At the end of the game against the Pelicans, it was starting to get tight. He went to D'Lo, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Shabazz Napier on the floor at the same time.
Yeah, and Napier played very well against. So he's been coming into his own.
Napier, the last few games, he was called on in the loss that they had. I think their second loss, and I think he dropped like 33 or something. It was something stupid that he dropped. So I hope we see more of that. So I think they can sustain it as well. I think they finish above 500 and make the playoffs this year, especially with LeVert coming back. I think they're going to be a solid team, and no one's going to want to play them because they're gritty as all hell.
Yeah,
and
they're just annoying to play.
And if you're a superstar, Jared Allen's going to block you.
Yeah.
Bottom line, he's blocked every superstar he's come up against that's tried to come to the rim. Twice, the Brow. The Brow got blocked twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start calling Jared Allen Poster Allen. Put everyone on it. Oh, I messed up. I called the Jets the New York Jets, didn't I? No, they're the New Jersey Jets until they do something good. I forgot about that. It's my rule. The Giants and Jets are not from New York until they earn it.
All right.
Play in New Jersey. And so until they earn the right to be New York again, they are the New Jersey Jets and Giants. God, that's my rule. They are not New York right now. They are New Jersey because I love our state where I'm from. But, yeah, we are the armpit. We are the redheaded stepsister. And they are going to be called the redheaded step teams until they earn it.
Not wrong.
They're terrible. All right, so I'm framing this to you. You laughed at me before the show about this question. But, all right, I'm going to put it this way. The Warriors have been losing. Yes, they are uninspired. They don't care about the regular season, but they have been losing to teams they shouldn't lose to, and then they lost to the Rockets when Kevin Durant took 33 steps out of bounds, tap dance, sang he's in the money, kind of gave everyone the finger in the crowd, punched a ref in the face, and then put the ball down. Never got called out of bounds. Everyone commented on how ridiculous that was. But he did that. And also, he is going to leave Golden State. There's no doubt about that. There's a chance Klay Thompson leaves. Steph Curry is going to stay. Draymond is not as much of a loud guy as he is. He's still playing well. Iggy's getting old. Livingston is not the wing he once was. Is this team in trouble if the Lakers get their groove, if they make the trade, if they get rid of Ingram and get a legitimate shooter or two? And the Lakers, I think, are their biggest threat because they have the best player on the planet who is literally Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant in terms of talent. I don't care what anyone says. He's all three of them. And they can threaten them. And then you have a team like the Nuggets who are super gritty. Jamal Murray is coming into his own. I think the Warriors, if they sleep, they should have lost to the Rockets last year if they could make a three in the game 7. There's a chance they lose this year and don't even make it to the finals. What say you?
Well, due to probability, there is a chance that they lose, but I just don't think they're going to. See, the problem is, this is just like the Patriots dilemma. You can stress so much over the regular season. Oh, they lost to this team. They lost to this team. They did this wrong. They didn't do this. But listen, this is a Warriors team where Steph Curry, if he's on fire, you have no chance. Klay Thompson, usually a consistent shooter, one of the best shooters in the game.
Ever.
Draymond Green, gritty man, just over there beating you up down low, can also make a three, even though I think he's lost it a little more than he used to have it. And then they have KD, who you literally can't guard. You literally can't guard the man. So if everyone else is having an off night, KD is just going to keep hitting baskets. And then eventually the rest of them will come on, and then the Warriors are just going to be fine. They play better defense in the playoffs. They do everything better in the playoffs. I'm not saying that they don't care about the regular season. I'm just saying
they don't care about the regular season.
I'm just saying the playoffs matter so much more. They're not going to lose those games. They're going to have – the Rockets are going to have to – like every team's going to have to do what they do perfectly to beat the Warriors. The Rockets are going to have to hit every damn three they put up.
And I completely agree with you. I just had to play devil's advocate for fun.
Yeah.
And also, everyone that's crowning James Harden one of the best scorers of all time, one of this, one of that, MVP right now, this and that, this and that, this and that, get to the finals first, and then I will crown you one of the greatest. Until you can prove it to me in the playoffs and will your team to the finals like you should have done last year when you had the Warriors against the ropes, then I will crown you one of the greatest of all time. If you're a great regular season player, you are Amari Stoudemire, and that is it. And you're Carmelo Anthony. If you get your team to the finals and possibly win it, then you're Kobe. He's not there yet. I don't care what anyone says. He's not there. Anthony Davis isn't there. Boogie Cousins isn't there. You got to do it in the biggest stages and lead your teams there to be considered one of the greatest of all time. You just have to make it to the finals. You don't got to win it, but you got to make it there. Charles Barkley's one of the greatest of all time because he brought his teams to the finals single-handedly. And that's it. That's my take on Harden.
All right, then.
All right, last question before we wrap it up. Out of the East, who's going to play the Warriors?
Celtics.
You think the Celtics are going to be able to beat Kawhi, the third best player in the league, and
yes,
the third best player? I know people love Giannis Antetokounmpo, but wake up, Kawhi Leonard is still knocking on Kevin Durant's door and is the third best player in the league.
I still think the Celtics, because I still think the Celtics are probably the best team in the East. Still, they've been struggling and everything. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The Kawhi really helps the Raptors, but the Raptors just never do it. They just never do.
They don't, but we'll see for historic purposes. But you know what? I'm saying it right now. I just knocked Giannis, but I don't care. I want Brook Lopez to go to a finals. Damn it. The Bucks are going. I'm doing it for my boy Bropez.
Really? For Bropez?
Yeah, for Bropez. Bropez is the man. He loves comic books. He's a damn nerd, and he's 7 feet tall, and he sounds like a Wookiee when he talks. Didn't
he go like over 12 from 3 this year?
No, he's made threes.
No, but in like a game. In a game, I'm pretty sure he went over 12 from 3.
Gets cold. You shut your mouth.
Don't but that's ice cold. That's like outcast ice cold. Like what?
You fear the deer.
That's
all
terrible.
Right. So that's where we are going to wrap it up. My bro, actual brother, blood brother, David, thank you for coming on.
It's always a pleasure.
Where can people find you again, Instagram-wise?
Cuesta Cola on Instagram.
He barely uses it, but go follow him. Again, I'm your host, Alex Cuesta. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @A_Cuesta30. Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30. Instagram, SportsOpinions30. Visit the Facebook page for all updates. And anywhere you can find a podcast, just literally Google search Sports Opinions Podcast. It'll pop up there on any of your favorite things. You can find it at Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker. Again, anywhere you listen to them, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, you can find it. This was lots of fun. Bringing in the new year, hoping for some big things. Tell your friends, come be on the podcast. Let's have some fun this year. Again, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one, people.